We are at the movies with Matt and Ryan once again for a
Yep,
3-1, kind of.
I guess.
Matt's here as usual for the 3 and
Yep.
1, and we have a couple. We have kind of a big movie, and
Yeah, we have an interesting mix, I guess, today. Two fairly new movies and one I was playing catch up on, but that is still doing very well at the box office. So it should be, an interesting show. So let's get it going. Let's get it rolling.
yep. So the first one we're gonna review is Annabelle Creation, and I believe it is the prequel, I guess, to the Annabelle horror series.
It's a prequel to a prequel because I think
Is it?
Annabelle is a prequel to The Conjuring,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
this
yeah.
is
Yeah.
a prequel to Annabelle. So that's kind of odd. The Conjuring movies since the first one came out in 2013 have all been doing very well. I'm not surprised they're trying to kind of milk the concept a bit here. Personally, I haven't seen Annabelle, but I've seen the other two Conjurings. I thought the first one was good.
Yeah.
I watched on TV one day, and it was for a horror movie. I appreciate the bigger. It felt like it had a bit more production than a lot of horror movies, which was cool. I found the second one to be really dull and lifeless, and it was like 2.5 hours long, which was just dreary. And I think this movie was just. I know it's getting okay reviews, but I thought it was kind of ass.
This movie sucked.
Yeah.
There's not like much to say. I mean, like it was in the weird zone for horror movies of not being too bad to be, because there was a lot of effort put in this movie, and I could tell like there was a lot of style that the director was trying to add to the movie. So I mean, it wasn't effortless. I mean, it wasn't like without effort, but it wasn't great either. So it was just kind of boring. And
How I described it in the car. It's one of those movies like Free Fire where it has the clout of being a good movie, but it is kind of shit. Like obviously there's talented people behind it. Although I'm not a huge fan of this director David Sandberg, but I'll get into that later. And it's obviously it's not like the Bye Bye Man where going in it's just going to be a train wreck. But this movie, it just was so boring. I don't understand how anyone could be remotely scared by this movie. And I'm not someone who gets super scared during horror movies. I really don't get scared at all. But it's not that the scares were poorly done. It's that they were so predictable. It's like you can guess every nuance and what's going to happen next and how the door's going to open and all this. It's just so played out,
It was bad. If I'm predicting it, it's bad. But what shocked me was like movie critics were like from Rotten Tomatoes too were saying this was actually scary and like very atmospheric, and I'm like, how like it's so bland and it's kind of like generic. Like every little I've seen this over and over again in horror movies.
The movie builds absolutely no atmosphere. I can't understand anyone saying
that's why
there was
shocking.
No mood at all. Like there's nothing interesting to grasp to. Like I think the David Sandberg, like I mentioned, Lights Out was another movie that came out last year and got a lot of love from people, and I just thought it was like really meh. It wasn't anything special. I think his direction here is more obnoxious than like
it's stupid,
enjoyable. Like there's some like tracking shots where he's like fucking jumping over buildings and shit. It's like going
upside
on?
down. Like, there's like upside down where the camera would turn clockwise, and it's like, all right, that's
the camera. It just felt like he was trying too hard to like have style. Like, oh, look at me, let me fucking flip the camera and do a back flip with it. Like it's just stupid. Like it didn't serve a purpose. It didn't like intensify the scene. It's just fucking him being showy and being I'm the shit.
I can't believe people are saying that this is like really builds intensity well. Like I don't know, people need to see It Comes at Night because this just like oh my god, it wasn't anything original at all, and it like the acting was
Yeah, the acting's not good, and the characters are just not interesting. We're just supposed to. I felt the same with Conjuring 2. We just get the most mundane character development possible, and it's like we're instantly supposed to give a shit. It's like, great. Well, you have one scene. These two are friends. Like, I don't fucking care about them. They just have one generic and like mundane and lifeless scene with them talking. It doesn't make me care. You know.
This director seems to. Like, there seems to be a lot of people that either love this director or hate him, because, like, I think Lights Out, from what I saw from the reviews with that, people did love that movie, too.
That's a movie where it was trying to do something interesting, but the execution of it was just so whatever. Like, it's a movie. It's about depression. It's like, oh, look at this. And, like, everyone, that's what every fucking review said when they all ignored, oh, guess what? The execution is pretty shitty. You know, it's like, it's just that shit. Like, oh, Boyhood, it took 12 years to make. Like, everyone gets fascinated with this one thing, and it's just like, oh, but did you watch the rest of the movie?
It's all about the message.
Yeah.
That's what people want.
It's pretty stupid, but, this movie was just boring. I mean, it was one of the first movies in a while where I just needed to walk out and take a break. Like, I felt like I was wasting my time, and then I left like a minute early too. Yeah, just like, this is just stupid. I'm done.
Another thing I want to mention too is my argument against some of these critics are saying that, you know, the jump scares were spaced out nicely, where like it kept you guessing. It didn't keep me guessing at all. I found like a lot of the jump scares really annoying, and like how they would, because I got to the point where I just wanted the movie to end. So when the intensity would just stop, or whatever intensity it did have, just stop, and it's like kind of just quiet and dead air, and then all of a sudden, like, it was just kind of obnoxious, like the continuing stopping and going of each jump scare. I don't know, it was just really unorganized.
The movie was just generic and trite, and I found it also incredibly lifeless.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't really be shocked if this made my worst of list. Like,
yeah.
It was really one of the more unenjoyable film-going experiences I've had this year.
Yeah.
Like,
same.
and I didn't go in with like any expectation. Me and Mariah just kind of saw it out of the blue. Like, I really hadn't even seen the trailer, so like, I didn't know what to expect. But this just did not do it for me.
Yeah. And I like horror movies, but no, not this one. Not this one.
Yeah. What's your rating?
I'll give it a 2 out of 10. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I guess I'll go 2.5.
Okay.
Just to be different. I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't effective at all, but yeah, let's move on.
So our next movie, could possibly be more effective as a horror movie, which is kind of sad, but
yeah, really sad.
It's Detroit, the latest from Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30 auteur, Catherine Bigelow, Academy Award winner. And she's reteamed with screenwriter Mark Bold, who she worked with on The Hurt Locker. This is a fairly historical take of the police raid in Detroit in the 1967, which results in one of the largest citizens uprising in the history of the United States. Another shitty plot synopsis from IMDb, but it more so focuses on an event that happens at the Algiers Hotel, in which a toy gun goes off and police show up and they start accusing people of having firearms and saying we need to see the guns, and it's just shit goes down. Like, not to get into spoiler territory.
This is a shocking experience, and to say the least, and it's a troubling film. Watching experience, probably the most of the year, and I had to digest it after for a while. It took me a little while because it was just, you're shook by everything that goes on in this movie. But like, after thinking of it over for a while, I mean, there are some problems here and there, especially in the beginning and in the end. that didn't have the same emotional effect as the middle, but I did really like this movie. It was really well made, and it just I can't like I don't know. It's just it's I can't put this at like a top 3 for the year because it's just so troubling. But it was definitely a worthwhile watch, and it's an important watch for a lot of people.
Yeah, I, I didn't enjoy the movie. Obviously, that's kind of the wrong terminology, but
Yeah,
I found this a very effective movie. But I will admit it's flawed at the same time.
Yeah.
Catherine Bigelow, I mean, some people have kind of complained about the visual tics she uses, a lot of handheld camera, but I think her, I think she's very intertwined with the material, and I like the handheld camera. It makes it a lot more personal, and it kind of puts you in the moment. You're in the chaos with these characters. So I liked that she used the handheld camera work. I know a lot of directors use it, and it doesn't work very well, but I think she actually utilized it well. We have a very talented cast here. We had John Boyega, Anthony Mackie, Jacob Lattimore. The breakout, though, is Algie Smith, who plays the main character, Larry. And he really is the breakout. He has this great and pretty emotionally harrowing character arc that we see throughout. And I think that, along with the middle portion of the movie, is the film's most effective. It's a punch in the gut, and it's heartbreaking to watch at times.
It is really heartbreaking to watch. And I know people have complained about the character development in this movie. For me personally, that part of this film didn't bother me as much because I think we had all we needed to know about, the history and everything involved. I mean, John Boyega obviously was severely misused in this movie, but I mean, it is what it is. I really like the development of, like you said, Algiers' character and
Algiers, what?
Whatever his name is. What's his name?
It's Larry. The Algiers is the hotel.
Not the no. What's the actor's name?
Oh, Algie Smith.
Yeah, Algie. Yeah.
The Algiers.
Yeah. You know what I mean. I'm sorry. That was the best of. That was the best of.
The hotel really was well defined.
What's that?
So the hotel really was well defined.
It was.
What a place.
That was the
I like hotels.
The most well developed character. And there's I never thought we'd be laughing during this review, but no. Yeah, and there's also a portion at the end I don't want to spoil where with his character that is really heartbreaking as well. And I think that's also why he's the best developed character, but I don't want to spoil it. But looking back on this movie, I mean, yeah, it's gonna emotionally resonate with me for a while. But the beginning and end really were flawed, really flawed in my, especially the end, because you're so I don't know, like I said, shooken from the middle portion of the film and the whole motel scenes, and then you go to this, drama court scene at the end where it's just I don't know, it doesn't resonate with me as much. I don't know. It didn't fit well.
I do think the 2/3 are disjointed, but I did really enjoy the first third and the second third. The first third definitely has a very documentary-like feel, and I think it does give good context of what the situation is. I really feel like Bigelow kind of the filmmaking feels a lot different each thirds, which is interesting, and it can be a little jarring sometimes. But I think both the first 2/3 of this movie are very effective.
Yeah.
The third act, I mean, I wish it kind of focused more on the characters and less on the court case, because we know what the court case is going to be. You know, going in, and it just feels played out, and it feels like an after school special. And I feel like rather spending that final third with the characters and kind of understanding how this event affected them. We understand with one character.
Yeah.
I feel like it leaves John Boyega's character in particular, who is in such an interesting quagmire of a position. He ends up just feeling kind of like a whatever character.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, I almost wish they just kind of casted someone else, or even just got rid of his character altogether. Because, like, I mean, I do wish they fleshed his character out because he is in this position of authority, kind of, but he's also an African American in this situation. So I kind of wish they explored that more,
Yeah.
especially at the end. But I mean, I mean, overall though, I really enjoyed this. Like, I not enjoyed it, but really thought it was well executed.
I really don't get the torture porn argument some people are making.
Yeah.
Because never for a moment is any of this supposed to be titillating or enjoyable. It's just like you. The point is you have to show this. Like this is. I feel like this is kind of something. It's the punch in the stomach that I feel like a lot of people, especially in this political climate, like it's very effective, and I feel like there's definitely a timeliness to this movie that it's coming at a great time that after the past couple of years with a lot of police brutality. So I feel like this movie's historical effects are very potent.
Yeah, even like rioting and protesting, like the Charleston thing's happening now. So like it's crazy how this is so relevant today.
It's a very relevant movie, and I really don't know. I guess people see something some way and see it another. That's just opinion, but I really don't think for a moment Bigelow is trying to make this something like enjoyable to watch. It is just it hurts to watch, and I think that's the point. Like that's
I mean I want to mention Will Poulter as the racist cop. I mean, oh my God, he was frightening, more frightening than I would have expected from him.
Yeah, he was definitely.
He never felt like kind of like goofy as like
he learned from Tom Hardy in The Revenant after sharing scenes with him.
Yeah, he was menacing, and more menacing than I think people would have. If you've seen like We're the Millers, he definitely. This is a whole different person that he plays.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think this was. I wouldn't say great, but close to great movie. And I kind of wish more people saw it. I feel bad. I mean, this performed very much like Birth of a Nation, and while Birth of a Nation had the fallback of Nate Parker, I understand why both movies didn't do well because they're very tough watches. But I feel like both have a lot of cultural value today, and it's kind of a shame that neither really have found much of an audience in theaters.
Yeah, especially after Zero Dark 30. I'm surprised like Bigelow hasn't gained that much recognition from a lot of people. I don't know.
Well, Zero Dark 30 it's definitely a more appealing. I mean, it's not really a tough subject matter. I mean, it somewhat is, but it's like the victory of America. Like, oh yeah, we're awesome. This is like we fucking suck, and
I see.
Like,
the movie, because people who have lost, family members and friends from terrorist attacks. I mean, that was definitely a triumphant movie, and this is kind of not. So
this is the opposite.
Yeah, so I could see that.
Yeah. It's a hard sell. Like I understand why it didn't really do well, but it's a shame because I feel like. This is the kind of movie I wish was more talked about, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, it was really good.
All right, so ratings?
I'll give it a 7.5.
7.5? I'll go 8. It's not quite great, but I think it was very effective for what it was, and, it definitely left an impact on me personally,
Yep, me too.
So our third movie, Ryan has not seen. I thought he did see it. That's why I suggested we talk about it. Because when I mentioned I was seeing it, he posted his fake rating for it. So, it's Girls Trip, which has been out for a few weeks now, but it's still, I think, in the top 5 at the box office. It stars Regina Hall, Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett Smith, and I have to look up the third actress's name, although she's the breakout of this movie. I think it's Tiffany Haddish, I believe, but I don't want to get her name incorrect. Yep, Tiffany Haddish. I was right. But I mean, the basic premise is like Rough Night, but without murdering a stripper. So it's four lifelong friends who travel to New Orleans for the annual Essence Festival, and they kind of, they have a lot of bonding, but at the same time, they're kind of, at each other's throats in some ways, and it's just this big body time, but it still has, some fairly dramatic moments. I don't mean it to be hyperbolic, but this is one of the best studio comedies in a long time. This really, I think this perfectly has the balance between comedy and drama, and it's just very genuine. From the start, these four characters, they feel very lived in and interesting, and they have great comedic chemistry together, obviously, but they also feel like real people. They don't do just like outlandish, stupid shit.
Yeah.
And they're very likable people and very, they feel like real friends you would have and stuff. What surprised me, I mean, it's a 2-hour movie, which for some people for comedy, it's like, oh, that seems a little long, but it really wins you over when it transitions into the more dramatic aspects. There's a character who's kind of dealing with a cheating husband, and it's handled in a very, I think, realistic and effective way. And I feel like this movie actually is interested in exploring these characters and their friendship and their camaraderie and this kind of, they admit to each other, it's like, yeah, we'd rather be back in that dorm room just having fun, hanging out, but we're adults now. It's time for us to, like, encounter our problems head on. I mean, I feel like the dialogue for this movie was very strong. There was a lot of memorable, effective, dramatic lines, but this movie was just a great time at the theater. I think it was one of the most entertaining movies of the summer, and definitely one of the most satisfying comedies in a long time.
So, yeah, I mean, I was going to ask if, like, because, I mean, this seemed like, from the trailers at least, that this was a raunchy comedy, but, like, I was going to ask, like, how does this differ from other raunchy comedies that aren't that great? I mean, and I assume it's the cast and stuff, and you said the comedy was a lot more genuine.
The laughs are there, but I also think this movie actually can pack a punch dramatically, and I think that's what really makes it step above. I love this cast together. I know Malcolm D. Lee, who's done a lot of good movies along the years. He did The Best Man, holiday movies, and he also did The Last Barbershop. He doesn't have much of a visual panache, but I feel like he has a great understanding of character and comedy and story, and I think he always utilizes that well. So this is a great movie. I gotta say it. It's in my top 10 for the year so far.
Damn, wish I saw it.
It's still in theaters, so I mean, still have a chance.
Yeah, I'll try to catch it.
It's like I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10, but my heart says 9.
Ooh.
I'll just say that. I kind of want to give it a 9, but I'm gonna say 8.5.
You gave Big Sick a 9, a 9 and 9.5. So it's like kind of the lower tier of a 9.
I'm giving it 8.5, but Big Sick was a 9.
Okay.
For sure. But it's in my top 6 or 7 movies of the year.
Damn. Who would have thought?
I was excited for it. I mean, it got good reviews, so...
Yeah, I remember texting you. I'm like, wow, Girls Trip's got good reviews. From the initial trailer, I was like...
The trailers were bad for this, but, the cast involved really is great. I mean, it's nice to see these 4 ladies really get not only great comedic roles, but really interesting, I really liked... usually in a comedy, when it starts getting serious, it's like, all right, this is stupid. Like, just... move on, but I actually enjoyed that for once in a comedy. So,
nice.
Yeah, I'll go 8.5.
All right. Well, there you go. That's a 3 and 1. Hopefully you enjoyed this video when I put it up, and check out our other videos as well. They're up on YouTube. We are counting down. It's like a week away from going back on the radio. A little over a week, probably 2 weeks, maybe. But for now, we only have a couple more, Matt. To be honest, now that I think about it.
Well, what comes out this weekend? We got
Probably like 2 more,
Logan Lucky, Hitman's Bodyguard, and Wind River.
Yeah.
But then, our return to the radio is the 27th of August. So
yeah, that'll be something to look forward to. But for now, check out our other videos. They're all on YouTube at The Movies of Matt and Ryan. Like, share, subscribe, as well as this one. And we'll see you guys soon.